This is a mega compilation from my Hoi 4 Everyday series, where I played Hearts of Iron 4 every day until I turned the Soviet Union into a democratic federation that controlled half of Europe. Like for more compilations like this. Enjoy. Welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4 Every Day, where 1 like will equal 1 second of this game. Yes, this series is back, don't ask about the last one. This time we are playing the Soviet Union, however I'm not going to spoil what path I go down, and also I set every country ideology to random, so God help us all. I didn't worry about organizing my army too much, however I made sure to build infrastructure in Siberia. Why, you may ask? Because we are going into a second Russian civil war. After completing Beaten but not defeated, I set up a secret headquarters where I was building infrastructure. Stalin became paranoid, hopefully he won't purge too many of my guys. Turkey seized the Bosporus, which I ignored, and then Germany found itself into a civil war. We could ask for Japan's support in the civil war, however I don't really feel like giving land to them, and they could also go into a civil war as well, so anyway, like for more time tomorrow. Today, the second Russian civil war would begin, but first I increased my mobilization to partial and sacrificed an admiral to appease Stalin. I decided to give up Sakhalin to Japan for weapons, but that's it. The first Moscow trial also begun and these guys died, but I saw a very interesting decision. Seize Manchuria, which I couldn't do right now, but maybe something I can do later. It was time. I had taken control of the Trans-Siberian Railway and sparked the Second Russian Civil War. Recruits rose up all over the Union and then I ran out of time. Today, I would invade Manchuria, but first I have to solidify the front on the Second Russian Civil War and secure Vladivostok. While I did so, nationalist uprisings occurred all over the Union, with the first being the Commie Republic, which I declared war on. Likewise with all the other nations that tried to rebel. Japan went into their civil war and the Seize Manchuria decision became available, but I wasn't ready just yet. After pulling off more encirclements and mostly securing Vladivostok, I could finally spare some divisions. In the meantime, France and Britain announced their alliance, the Allies, which is surprisingly historical. Finally, I was ready to invade Manchuria, and so I did. Today, I would win the Second Russian Civil War, but first I would declare war on Manchuria. After a few encirclements, their front would collapse, and I would annex both Manchuria and Manchukuo. In the meantime, Ukraine rose up against the USSR, and I chose to stay at peace with them for now. The Soviets are falling apart, and my cavalry captured Moscow, resulting in the capitulation of the USSR. We achieved victory, unfortunately giving North Sakhalin to Japan, which remained fascist despite their civil war. Then I ran out of time. Today, major powers in Europe would go to war, but first I had to change our capital to Moscow and consolidate control over the Caucasus, Karelia, and the north. Interestingly, Germany went communist and proposed a non-aggression pact, which I signed for now. Italy invaded Yugoslavia, sparking a war in the Balkans between the Italian League and the Czech Antant. Bulgaria joined Italy, and it'll be interesting to see what Hungary does from here. In the meantime, Lithuania proposed we take advantage of the civil war in Poland, splitting the east between us, with Vilnius returning to Lithuania while I get the east. I accepted, and now we almost completely surround Ukraine, so I invaded them. While I did this, Hungary demanded Transylvania from Romania, who wisely accepted as they are busy fighting the Italian League. Germany invaded Austria, sparking a war between the Proletarian International and the Allies. After this, Ukraine capitulated and I annexed them into the country. Things are heating up and I have many opportunities from here, but then I ran out of time. Today, we would put the Tsar back in charge of Russia, but first I reorganized my army and now that the Civil War was over. The Balkan War is really interesting to me, and it seems like the Italians are winning so far. Germany has also defeated Austria and is still at war with the Allies. Anyway, I reconvened the Zemsky Sabor and the Tsar returned, now we are green. However, we are not done there, as now we reinstate the Duma and I could hire advisors for democracy support. Hungary demanded Vojvodina from Yugoslavia, which they rejected on the brink of defeat, giving Hungary an excuse to enter the war on the side of the Italians. However, the Czech army was now freed and immediately crushed the Hungarians walking into Budapest. Hungary capitulated and the front line solidified looking like this, then I ran out of time. Today, I created and expanded my alliance, but first I have to hold elections to decide who runs the country. While I could still justify war goals, I prepared to invade Mongolia. Then the Ottomans returned, which is interesting, but it was finally time for my elections, where I elected the cadets for a constitutional monarchy. Finland went democratic, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to do the Eastern Security Pact. Then the Ottomans joined Germany, and they're at war with the Allies and Italy. However, Italy now has a front against Germany, which it definitely can't handle and was crushed immediately. In the meantime, I invited Finland, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland to my faction, despite Poland still being in a civil war. All of them accepted, but I couldn't invite Latvia since they're fascist. We might have to deal with that later. While I invaded communist Mongolia, Poland accepted entrance into the faction, allowing me to intervene in their civil war. And so I crushed their communist enemy and put the Senationists in charge. In the meantime, the Italian League was defeated and the peace deal looks like this. I capitulated Mongolia and the peasant Poland, giving me a very long border with communist Germany. Unfortunately, I couldn't invade fascist Latvia because they haven't generated world tension, they're literally doing nothing. But then it happened. Germany invaded my Polish ally and I rushed to their defense. Then I ran out of time, I'll see you tomorrow. Today, we would invade Germany, and that is exactly what I started doing. We captured Berlin and continued relatively unopposed. Then Czechoslovakia invaded Hungary again for God knows what reason, forcing Hungary to join the Allies and sparking a war between the Allies and the Czech Antant. Meanwhile, Japan tried signing a non-aggression pact with me, but I was having none of it. I don't know what's with communist Germany, but they just won't capitulate, and I'm running out of time. They somehow have a capital in Savoy. Anyway, they were just about to capitulate, then I ran out of time, like for more time tomorrow. Today, we would do 2 peace deals, but first we need to capitulate Germany. Also some good news, both Iraq and Latvia joined the Japanese faction, and before Germany capitulated, I justified on Romania because the Czech Entente has gone rogue. Germany finally capitulated, and now for the peace deal. Starting with the Ottomans, I gave Greece the rest of Western Anatolia, Syria got Hatay, and I liberated both Kurdistan and Armenia, with the rest changing to a democratic government. In Africa, I liberated Ethiopia and Libya, while France and Britain gained some land in East Africa. For Italy, Lombardy and Sardinia were liberated, while the rest changed to a democratic government. And finally, Germany. Poland got its modern borders, and I got Kaliningrad. Bavaria was liberated, with Germany being split between France and I. This is what the faction map looks like now, and then something crazy happened. Austria voted to join my Germany, cutting off the allies from the Czech Entente. We also got another peace deal in China, where I annexed Mongolia, and China got the rest. And finally, my faction was expanded to include both Armenia and Kurdistan, then I ran out of time. Today, we would declare war on the Czech Entente. I only began invading Romania as the Austrian front was too weak. Slowly but surely we took Bessarabia, and sure enough my advance came to a halt as I reached the mountains. So I concentrated my tanks around the plains to Bucharest and began attacking when the mud went away. I ended up breaking through and I encircled a huge portion of their army against the Black Sea, giving them so many casualties. From here they capitulated and I advanced into Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. After connecting to the Austrian front, I called in Germany and Poland, leading to the total collapse of the Entente. For the peace deal, I annexed Bessarabia and puppeted the rest of Romania, balkanizing Yugoslavia, liberating Slovakia, and I gave Hungary their claims in the south. Finally, for the Czechs, I split it between Poland and Germany in order to connect the Austrian-German land. Then I ran out of time. Today, we would invade Japan, but first a European Union faction was created, which Turkey and Italy joined and went to war with the Allies. Greece invaded Turkey once again and actually formed Hellas, which is impressive for the AI. Anyway, I prepared my invasion for Japan and declared war. I landed and pushed them out of their port. It wasn't long before I established 2 fronts and pushed them north and south. Soon enough, they capitulated. For the peace deal, I liberated Kashmir as its own country, okay, so no problems there. I gave China Taiwan and the state near Beijing, and I annexed Sakhalin and those islands for myself. I could actually liberate a democratic Japan due to their civil war instead of having to do the change government mechanic. Finally, I puppeted Latvia, and they are no longer going to be a pain on our doorstep. Today, not much happened, but the Allies went to war with the Northern Security Pact, so naturally I'll probably be fighting China at some point. Also, the entire world is democratic. We're just too strong. I wish the Allies didn't form, that was annoying. Anyway, I could request a bunch of my allied states to become my puppet, and after requesting the Baltic states to become my puppet, they did, and so did Finland and Poland. Then for some reason, the Baltics decided to unify, which is cool, they are probably pretty strong now. I also gave this state to Poland, obviously they accepted it and I still have Kaliningrad, and then I ran out of time. Today, we would invade China, but first Hungary decided to invade Slovakia, like bro, I just liberated them. Yugoslavia rejected to join my faction, probably because Albania is in it. I gave Germany its independence because they're actually strong now and I started justifying on China. I then declared war and captured Beijing immediately, pulling off this encirclement. I also set up a naval invasion, but before I could launch, my allies already landed. Italy joined my faction and Spain capitulated to the Allies. I pulled off one last encirclement, then I ran out of time. Today, I would defeat China, but first Bulgaria got invaded and then joined my faction. Only after they were defeated though, we're not at war with the Allies yet. Slowly, China was getting pushed back until I reached Chongqing, and when I took it, China capitulated. For the peace deal, I annexed East Turkestan and gave myself a Chinese puppet. Britain got Yunnan and Guangxi as a puppet, and this is what the map looks like now. I'm having a break from this game for now, but you will see a war against the Allies soon. Thank you guys for watching. I know I said you'd see a war against the Allies, but the game kept crashing when I tried to continue it after the break. If you want to see more compilations like this, then like the video. And if you want to see me do a new daily Hoi 4 campaign, let me know in the comments.